Following several new developments this morning in the death of Prince, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minneapolis tells NBC News they're joining the investigation into his death. We're also learning new details about the hours leading up to Prince's death. Blake McCoy joins us from Minnesota. Blake, good morning. What are the very latest details?
Well, Jose, good morning to you. It's been exactly 2 weeks now since Prince was found dead here at his Paisley Park estate, and we're learning that in those hours before, there was a life-saving mission to
synthetic opioid that is 30 to 50 times more potent than heroin and 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. The evidence demonstrates that Prince thought he was taking Vicodin and not fentanyl. Nothing in the evidence suggests that Prince knowingly ingested fentanyl. In addition, there is no evidence that any person associated with Prince knew Prince possessed any counterfeit pills containing fentanyl. In all likelihood, Prince had no idea he was taking a counterfeit pill that could kill him.
We don't know a lot about his medical history overall. We know that he's walking with a cane, he had some hip problems, we know that. But 2 weeks ago from today, he canceled some shows. At that time, we were told that it was the flu that prevented him from doing those shows. A week later, to the day, he did those. He actually performed those shows. They were here in Atlanta. Right. He did 2 shows back to back. And by all reports, people who attended the show, I know you interviewed some of them, they said he looked great.
He killed.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes.
On the flight home that night, back to Minnesota, they had to make an emergency landing. He had to be taken to a hospital that night. So this is Thursday night, Friday morning of last week now we're talking about. Was in the hospital for about 3 hours and then discharged and went back home. And again, it was said to be flu. He needed to get some treatments for flu, really nothing more than that.
It may be a while before we know Prince's cause of death, but some possible causes have now been ruled out. Prince was found unresponsive in his home on Thursday in a Minneapolis suburb known as Chanhassen. Dean Reynolds is in that area with the latest. Dean, good morning.
Good morning. Well, as you can see, the memorial to Prince outside his home here continues to grow, as do those questions surrounding his death just 2 days ago.
Amid the very real grief of this community, Prince's body was turned over to his family on Friday after an autopsy that may reveal more about what killed him, but not for a while. Carver County Sheriff Jim Olson.
This will continue to be an open investigation until the autopsy results come back.
If you ask any artist, the music is a success upon creation. When you give it to somebody like a Rolling Stone or a Vibe and they start critiquing it, then your perception changes. But that's looking through somebody else's eyes. So again, we gauge success based upon what we feel in our hearts. You know, we've shut our minds off now. Minds should be used for what they were made for, filing cabinets. We think with our hearts.
I don't know what they thought we were trying to be, but, you know, wasn't accepting it at first. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to wear. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. You know, you don't know me, and I'm not that guy that you might think I am. If you step up on me, you might get, it might be a whole different situation.
Feeling, you know, because that just, you know, didn't make sense to me.
When Prince's plane had to land, I knew about it before the press did, and it was scary, a scary moment.
Looked through the unsealed search warrants that pertain to the death of Prince. One is that investigators found opioid painkillers in much of Prince's estate. And the controlled substances were found in things like prescription pill bottles, but also aspirin and vitamin bottles. 2, investigators noted that not a single one of the prescriptions that Prince had actually had his name on them. Instead, some of those prescription bottles had the name of his longtime friend and estate manager, Kirk Johnson, on them. 3, Dr. Michael Schulenberg told investigators that he had prescribed an opioid pain.
You're an unusual person. Most people don't get famous with one name and then change it, right? Would you say? What's the story of that, by the way?
Well, I had searched deep within my heart and spirit, and I wanted to make a change and move to a new plateau in my life. And one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it.
Why then did you choose the artist formerly known as?
Well, I didn't choose that. That was chosen.
It chosen for you?
Yeah, pretty much.
What would you have chosen? I mean, did you think of a name? What is your name at birth?
My name at birth was Prince Rogers Nelson. Yeah.
So did you think of Nelson?
No.
Rogers?
No.
Were you thinking of a name?
No, it didn't come to me like that.
Prince's 35th birthday, he literally became even more of an icon than he already was. That's the day that he changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol. And he released the following statement. It's an unpronounceable symbol whose meaning has not been identified. It's all about thinking in new ways, tuning into a new frequency. Now, the love symbol that we all know is a combination of man, woman, and music. And it made its debut on the cover of the October release in 1992, which was the Love Symbol album, which of course also did not have an actual name. It was unpronounceable.
When I was using the name Prince, I used specific instruments, and I was loyal to those instruments up until the point at which everyone started buying those instruments and trying to sound like I sounded. Then I abandoned them and went off.
What it was that got him, you know, it's 57 years old. I mean, he was a thin guy. He looked like he was healthy.
He looked very healthy. He looked like he could have been mistaken for Pharrell. I mean, he was like,
yeah.
Those two guys are like ageless, you know?
And he did a show just a couple nights ago.
Yeah, he was on tour.
I heard that you have a vault of hundreds of unreleased songs. Are you ever going to release them and let us hear?
One day, someone will release them. I don't know that I'll get to release them.
Why are you holding on to them?
There's just so many, and one day, someone will release them. I don't know that I'll get to.
I suppose. There's a lot of evidence it took me a long time to find, but alas, I did find as much as I could. I found even phone calls from the county sheriff, all the calls that they had with Prince's employees, and I noticed something very, very interesting. I want you to note is that fentanyl was never prescribed to Prince professionally, meaning that the drugs found, and this is something that the police has reported, the drugs found were counterfeit pills laced with fentanyl. So it was actually a knockoff pill of Vicodin. Vicodin is a prescription you can get at the doctor's. So this was a knockoff of that pill, except the difference is that the knockoff had lethal doses of fentanyl.
Prince's death in 2016 sent shockwaves across the globe, but recent discussions led by Joe Rogan have fueled speculation that the iconic musician's passing may not have been as straightforward as the official narrative suggests. From counterfeit pills hidden in plain sight to the powerful enemies Prince made during his career, Rogan's theories suggest a deeper, more chilling story. At 57, Prince still radiated the energy of an artist in his prime. Known for his unique style and boundless creativity, he had just performed 2 back-to-back shows that left audiences in awe. Fans recall him tweeting about feeling transformed, a message that now seems haunting in retrospect. Days later, he was discovered unresponsive in the elevator of his Paisley Park estate, marking the abrupt end of an era. Investigations revealed the presence of counterfeit pills laced with fentanyl, a powerful opioid. These pills were cleverly concealed in everyday containers, such as vitamin bottles. Shockingly, not a single prescription in his home was in his name. This revelation raised unsettling questions. How did these pills end up in Prince's possession, and who was responsible? Throughout his career, Prince was an outspoken critic of the music industry. His battle with Warner Bros. In the 1990s, which led to him changing his name to an unpronounceable symbol, was a bold statement against corporate exploitation. Rogan speculates that Prince's defiance and demand for creative freedom may have painted a target on his back. His unwillingness to conform to industry norms made him a revolutionary figure, but could it also have made him enemies willing to silence him?